up, YouTube? Welcome to my first ever Minecraft video. In it, we're going to be discussing some basic mechanics that I see people struggle with, and we're just going to get right into it. So, firstly, we're going to be talking about stairs. Um, so in Minecraft, stair blocks can be used for a lot of things other than just stairs. Trims on buildings, um, even inside walls for decoration. And I see people struggle with how exactly to place these blocks. So if you looking at our center block here on our pillar we just made, there is the bottom half of the block and the top half of the block. Think of it as cut into two along this line of pixels here. So if we wanted our block to be facing us, it'll face whatever direction we're facing. So if we place like this, you can walk up the stairs, obviously. Now, to change the direction, because obviously this is the straight, if we wanted it to be upside down, we have to place it aiming at an adjacent block on the top half. Just that simple, right? Now, if we wanted this to make like a C shape on the wall, you would just face at the bottom half of the block or even the block below it, and it would create this shape. And this is going to follow this same pattern the whole way to it. So if, as long as we're looking at the top half of this block, the stair will be upside down. And if we wanted it to be on the bottom of this one, the same thing would happen. We'd do this, but maybe we want to switch halfway through. We could make it go upside down. And you just got to remember to try to keep track of what you're looking at when you're placing it. That way, if I wanted it to be upside down for all of these, you could do that. Another thing to note when you're doing these is sometimes you'll get these, especially in the corners here, you get these interactions when two corners come together, right? And it changes the texture a little bit, right? So now it's this corner block where from both angles they meet up, and learning how to use those as well can be useful when you're building trims on roofs and stuff. So if we wanted our blocks to go like this, for example, we see that it turns for the corner of the roof. And then even if for some reason we were doing this at 2 block, if we go like this, it wraps around again. And you end up with this shape that now could be like a peak of a roof, which on some of these roofs will have. Another thing noted for stairs is when you're actually using it for stairs. If let's say I wanted to build up this stairwell and we're going to start here. I don't know why that looks like that. There's a random block there, but if you're on an angle, the same principle applies, right? I can walk up the stairs, and as long as I'm placing and looking at the bottom half, they'll still be facing in a way that I could go up. But maybe I wanted to put trim on the top of this wall, and I wanted them to be upside down. Like, as long as I'm looking at the top half of the block, we'll end up with that upside down part of the trim that we're looking for that. And you can use stairs like that for different kinds of things. Obviously, not in all cases you have, that standing there. So you could always build temporary blocks up, or if you could reach it, you could just do that. If you couldn't reach it and you wanted to build a stair off of this, you could do something like this. And then, I didn't mean to place that slide there, but place your temporary block and then continue your stair this way. And then do with whatever you wanted to do underneath to make it look a little bit better than just a floating staircase. Now, additionally, we're going to talk about our slabs here, which work similar fashion to the staircase. And depending on what part of this horse just came up in my business. Depending on which part of the block we're looking at here, it depends on what part that the slab will be placed, and it also makes, like, if you combine them, it would look like a full block, and that breaks as if it was a full block, although it's not. And you can use these for spiral staircases, the same method. Obviously, you're missing some parts here, but you could do a very basic one like this, if that's what you wanted to do, and you could walk up. We need it to be a little bit taller, though, but the interesting thing about slabs as well is, let's say if we're on, this is just something you need to keep in mind when working with them, is if I wanted to put this here. Now, everything else, this grass, this block here, is based off this full one block thing. But now we have this half block. So what happens if I try to place something that isn't a half block variation on top of it? Well, we get this floating kind of thing going here, where you can still see through it, and you can even break stuff through it. Like if I could place through it. I can't reach that torch from here, but I could place things through it. And there's ways to make that so that it's useful for your builds, but there's also times where it's kind of frustrating if you wanted to build stuff on top of it and you have this gap. The ways to get around that is if you were doing this as a floor, you either kind of have to deal with it, place another half block underneath, and then you kind of have this little pillar kind of notion if you wanted to put maybe a torch on this. Like we could take this torch right here. And place it just directly on top. Now you have this kind of pillar stand thing going on here. The other thing is to change the levels in which you're doing this at. Like you could go down a level and then make that level out of half blocks as well, so that you're dealing with half blocks and half blocks, and then it gets a little bit messy that way. So we're trying not to use it too much, but you could also use it as a ceiling, and this I try not to do for the same reasons of half blocks are kind of messy. But if you were to build a building, like, I wonder if one of these has a lower ceiling. Kind of like this. We'll just say this one. And it's only, like, if I break this, I can see the outside, right? But maybe I'm not going to be happy with that. I don't want that to be what my block looks like. I don't want it to be the red. Maybe I want it to be a different color. And I have no way around this. Obviously, this is the same colored brick, but we're going to use this one. So if I remove it, you can see outside. So I only have that one block to deal with, but I also want to change the color. So I could change it by putting a slab underneath the whole way across. And from this side, it looks obviously as if it was just the netherite, or the nether brick. And from the top, it would stay the same. Kind of useful. You don't lose as much room as if placing a full block or like a double floored layer thing. But obviously you still come with that restriction of this is a half block now. So if I hang things on the bottom of it, it's going to look a little bit different. Like we'll have that space here always. And you can use it for your benefit or not for your benefit. Some other things we got are trap doors. So trapdoors are a little bit different than the slabs, but work more or less the same way in which side I pick. And then, so if I'm looking at the bottom half of my block here, and then I hit it, it'll go up. So that's our folding pattern, and on the top half, it'll fold whichever direction I'm actually facing. So that was just a bad example on that one. We can just switch to this. And there we go. Now, you can use these for all kinds of things. I see people go like, not having enough room with all of this stuff. If we place it on this block, and you have like a little planter thing, you can put a flower in it. People use trapdoors for all kinds of things, and then there's a lot of different trapdoors that have different variations in how they look to begin with, and you could do different things for them. So you could build a shelf and have your shelf, or even like a desk kind of situation, come up by how you place them. And you can even place items directly on them by crouching, so you don't activate it when you place the block, because if I just click, it'll just obviously activate the trapdoor. So if you crouch, you can place things directly on top, even other bricks. I could place a sign on the front, which now is floating, which could create, another interesting little feature for like a desk. So there's lots you can do with these trapdoors that follow the same kind of pattern as um, your your slabs. Other than they take a lot less room. And because there's different variations of these trapdoors, like if we look actually on a building over here that I have made, um, I have all of these trapdoors surrounding this normal door. Because they follow the same pattern, it doesn't look as weird. It just looks like it's a bigger extension of the door. But you can see how you've placed them all flat, which I can also show you how to do if you wanted to build it on a bigger surface. Especially if we wanted it that one block in, right? Which would be like this, so it's even with our block. Well, we would need to go like this. And then I'm just crouching so that I get a better angle there. And we would need to do the same thing if we wanted it to go even higher. We just have to build up and then get rid of our two temporary blocks here. Those stay there. We build another layer across. And we have to look at it from the same side. So we know that it's going to open outward. Now we have a 6 block kind of trapdoor thing going on here. But they're all even with each other, and you can just remove the temporary blocks and they'll stay the same. They're not going to go anywhere. So that's another use for trapdoors. And then lastly, we have brick fences, which I really like. And there's also, I don't know if I have any with me, like actual stone fences, which we could take a look at in a minute too. But fences have a lot of uses that you can use them for. Obviously, a normal fence scenario. Fences will only connect like these. This is made of nether brick. So if you had another brick fence and you tried to connect it to a wooden fence, there'll be a space gap. Like it won't connect like these two do. It would almost look like this, but it'd be a little bit closer. But there would be a gap between where the two textures don't connect because they're made out of two different resources. There's actually some wood over here, so I could probably show you. Just eat some bread real quick. So you'll notice that even though it's right beside each other, they don't connect, and there's this gap you can actually walk through. Obviously, you could use that to your advantage too in some situations, but if you're trying to build a fence that all encloses what you're trying to fence off, it might not be beneficial for you. And then, yeah, obviously on top of something, when it connects to something that can connect to, you have these little connection points to the block, which can be kind of cool. But also, it's something you have to keep in mind. You could also build fences off of something to kind of create it look a little bit more textured, a little bit more detail. And you can even do things where if you wanted to do a fence post, kind of like what I showed you earlier, you could do this, put something on top of it, or you could even, similar to what they're doing over there, or what I have done over there, where we start combining these to build some kind of platform, which we could put a light on top of. We could go in the scenario like this, so I'll just build up, place a torch. And you kind of have a lamppost. Obviously, you might want to change out some things. Maybe you might take the centerpiece out, which remove that. And you could put something else in there, like a torch, like an actual lantern, like one of these. You could have placed up in there. All kinds of different things that you can do once you start combining these blocks. The other thing you could do still following the kind of light path thing, is you can combine some of these ideas of going and making a hanging lantern here. I really like fences for the ability to do all kinds of different stuff with them. That meant stairs, what I'm building, is definitely something that I generally use quite a bit. So anyways, I'm hoping that I just got attacked. Give me a second. Hopefully this video helps some people build some more interesting things and get a little bit more used to how these kind of blocks work in the world of Minecraft. And yeah, if this video helped, let me know, and I will keep making videos about how certain blocks work and interact with each other and how to place them in a better orientation if needed.